Greetings and welcome to Education in Focus, powered by the Center Square. I'm Dan McCaleb, Chief Content Officer at Franklin News Foundation, publisher of the Center Square Newswire service. A Franklin County, Ohio judge has struck down the state's EdChoice program as unconstitutional. The program provides taxpayer-funded vouchers to parents of students to use to send their kids to private school and for other purposes. The judge is allowing the program to continue as the state appeals. Joining me to discuss this is Regional Editor J.D. Davidson. J.D., tell us about the ruling and the program itself.
Thanks, Dan. The ruling's not surprising. The ongoing battle for school choice in the state has probably ramped up. Well, since I joined the Center Square, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. This lawsuit came about, it feels like it started almost 2 or 3 years ago, but probably not that long. It was a group of 200 school districts that joined a group, amazingly enough, called Vouchers Hurt Ohio, and filed this suit in Franklin County. Obviously, Franklin County is the home of Columbus. It's a big Democratic stronghold. It's an elected judge, but most elected officials in Franklin County are Democrats. So it wasn't surprising, that this ruling came out. There is, I think, a legitimate controversy over using taxpayer funds for private schools. But the judge immediately, in his ruling, he plainly said you cannot use taxpayer money to fund private schools at the expense of adequately funding public schools. Now, the question, and you and I have worked in a lot of states, and I've been in Georgia and Alabama and Texas and Ohio, and this question has appeared in every state that I've worked in, is what does adequately fund mean?
Right.
There's no answer for that. But he did stay the ruling, allow the folks who are using the scholarships now, the vouchers now, to continue while the state obviously is going to appeal. The appeal will go to I believe it's the 10th Court of Appeals. I'm not positive on that. I do know that it's almost all Republican judges. The state Supreme, then it'll go to the state and Supreme Court, which is also almost all Republican judges. I would be surprised if the ruling holds, but it'll just continue the debate of sending taxpayer dollars to private schools, which has grown dramatically in the last 5 years. The current budget that the state's operating under, which ends, I guess, midnight Monday, there's $1 billion for the voucher program. That'll increase in the budget that was passed by the House and Senate yesterday. Slightly. There are several scholarship programs in the state. Some deal with special ed students. One is focused entirely on Cleveland. So they've increased some of the smaller ones, around the state in the new budget. But
the program itself is not that relatively old, right? It just was approved a few years ago, and then they expanded it last legislative session. Am I right about that?
No, the EdChoice program probably has been around, and I don't know this for sure, but I know it was around before I came on with the Center Square. So I'm going to say at least a decade, but it was a small program. And over the last 2 budget cycles, it has increased dramatically to where now anybody is eligible. And what was interesting, and I live in a small town in North.
When you say anyone, you're talking about income level, family's income level?
Income level, anybody is eligible. That happened at the last budget cycle 2 years ago. And I live in a small Northeast Ohio town, or North Central Ohio town, with one small Catholic elementary school. It's been around for 100 years, and it's K through 8. They never really advertised or promoted. You just knew in town that there was the public school system, and then there was St. Vincent. When that budget passed 2 years ago, they started really promoting the idea that you can get a scholarship now to come here, and you can come here, and you can come here to try to grow. And you grew up in Ohio, just like I did, and there's always been this us versus them with public schools and parochial schools in the state, especially when it comes to athletics. And that's kind of an underlying theme of all of this as well.
So the ruling comes as school districts, I shouldn't say school districts, I should states across the country, many of them, and you mentioned the political party affiliations of the judges, local judges, mostly Democrats, at the appeals level and Supreme Court level, mostly Republicans. It does seem to have become a partisan issue. The state of Texas, just this year passed its first school choice program. Governor Greg Abbott in the state has made it a priority to create a school choice program over multiple legislative terms. In Texas, the state legislature only meets every 2 years, and going back at least 6 years, Governor Abbott in Texas has tried to expand it. He finally got it across the finish line this year. Arizona and Florida have recently expanded their school choice program. So it does seem it's become a red state, blue state type of thing, or a Democrat, Republican type of thing, which I don't know if that makes sense to me. I get it. I mean, it is. You can't deny that it's not a Republican issue. Pro-school choice are generally Republicans. Anti-school choice are generally Democrats. But we're talking about kids. Now, one thing I do want to get to, many of these states that have expanded school choice, whether it be vouchers or scholarships or what have you, do have like income thresholds for families that are able to participate. It's meant mostly nationwide to help those lower income families who their kids may be trapped in a failing public school. They want a different option. They can't afford to pay tuition at a private school, so it's meant for them. But Ohio's is wide open, so that's a little bit different.
And, the interesting thing when you talk about Texas is, in reality, Texas had school choice. It just had nothing to do with private schools. Texas has open enrollment. You can go to any school you want to go to. And then school funding is based on a weird formula that never seems to work out right for any of the public schools. But they always had school choice. It's just now private schools that get into it. And I think, in the times that we live in, I don't care what the issue is, it's going to turn into a red state, blue state. The other big issue with the private school is there's no accountability for private schools. They're not subject to open meetings. They're not subject to open records. Their finances aren't open, but they're getting public dollars. So I think that's something that has to be worked out as well.
Yeah, I do know, though, generally speaking, in studies from across the country, the outcomes in private schools generally are better than the outcomes in private schools. But we are out of time, JD. Thank you for joining us. Listeners can keep up with this story and all education-related stories at thecentersquare.com/education.